volume here.
So we're live.
All right.
Well, this ought to be interesting. We'll see how it goes.
I, hey, it's gonna it's gonna flow smooth.
I'm sure. Um, and we got. I can't figure if I should close my shades or keep them open. I'll keep them. So it gets dark here in about half an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, we'll be getting dark about the same time. So how you been?
I've been good. It's been interesting day so far. And, I I retired from where I did recruiting for a long time. So I'm retired, but I've been helping a buddy out um, who needs some recruiting help, and so I've been dealing with some of that. I mean, he'll pay me, but still, it's kind of
Yeah,
a. I shouldn't say it's a nuisance, because I like the guy and it's interesting work, and I don't really have to do anything.
it is. I understand.
Got some comments.
Mm.
Oh, there's Melda. Hey, Melda, how you doing?
Hey,
All right,
hi
so we're
Melvin.
we're live. Hi everybody, which would be Melda and Mike, um, and anyone watching the replay. So this is a um, something we're trying out. If it goes well, it was my idea, and if it goes bad,
It
it
was
was Tom
mine.
Garvey's idea.
Oh, okay, you didn't blame me. We'll blame Tom. There you go. I
Right?
like that. I like that.
Tom wants to do something similar, and it was
Yes.
just my. I said, well, that makes a lot of sense. Talk more one on one and get a little, um, more personal knowledge about people that you've come to know, very superficially
Right.
on YouTube, but you've taken a shine to one way or the other. I mean, you and I have
Yes.
been on your show with Tom multiple times,
Yes.
and what has kind of struck me is um, the depth of interests and knowledge that you have outside of YouTube and cooking. I mean, sports. You're fairly erudite in a lot of different areas. So those are the kind of things that we want to get to
Well,
as we move along.
my family calls me the world's largest source of useless knowledge.
Well,
I tell them, no, 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 not useless. Insignificant, maybe, but not useless. But
so
not useless.
my wife is the same way. She says, "You're just a sports savant. How do you know all these things?" I said, you just know numbers. What can I say?
I tell them my mind's like the Roach Motel. Information checks in, but it don't check out.
Right. There's stuff I pull stuff out of my ear from 30 years ago. I can tell you scores of games and what day they were, and
Yep.
just stuff like that. That, of course, I can't tell you what I had for breakfast yesterday, but um, you know,
Amen to
who
that. Man.
won the Redskins Cowboys game in New Year's Eve 1971. I tell you, the Redskins did, and they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Dolphins 14-7. Blah blah. Anyway, so let's while we're start. Melda, how are you today? Melda is Mike. You know Melda?
I do not.
Melda, you should check out Mike's page. It's Mike's the Ketorific Journey with Mike, and we're going to talk a little bit about keto and how that works. Melda is. Hey, there's Greg. Hey, Greg. Um, um, Mike is one of the keto advocates. He and Tom do a show on Wednesdays at
6 o'clock
Central?
Eastern. Yeah, 5 o'clock Central.
5
Yes.
Central, 6 Eastern. And Melda is, I love Melda. She's um, she has a very distinctive greeting. Hello there.
I love that. I
She's
love it.
wonderful. Great, great channel. So one of the things, obviously, to check each other's channels out. And
I'll be
Greg
glad
on
to.
Adventure Roads.
Yeah, hey, I will be going there. If you go to my channel and check it out, leave me a message. I'll sure enough come to your channel too. That's for sure. And I'm planning on doing it when I get done with here. as well.
Greg travels all over the place, and they've got
I see. I love that. I wish I could.
and travel logs and just interesting stuff all over the place. So he's another one that I follow. So Mike, let's talk a little bit about the keto aspect.
Okay.
And I'm nothing we've never really talked about. Is keto something you just fell into or told to do? Was the next incarnation of there's Pops?
Hey,
The
Pops.
next incarnation of diets or lifestyle changes? How did that all come about?
Well, I came to know about the keto diet from my daughter. She went on it and lost a significant amount of weight, like 80 or 90 pounds, something like that. And she loved it and said it was not that difficult to do, except that no one else in the house was really supporting and doing it as well. She's got kids, small kids at the time. Now they're not really small; they're much older. But and her husband at the time was not wasn't his thing to do. He would bring. He worked at a place that does distributing of supplies to convenience stores and things like that, and he would bring in damaged candy and this
Unlimited
and that.
supply of junk food.
Yes, exactly. And that they couldn't take to the store, so they said, "Yeah, y'all take it home,"
Right.
So they that kind of fell by the wayside, and I got, I did. Everybody says to me, "Well, now that you've lost 110 pounds, you feel better, right?" I was like, "No, I didn't feel bad before." I they said, "Well, you got more energy." I said, "Well, I wasn't low energy before." So, but I'm glad I did it, and I wanted to. I was basically tired of people making fun of the weight, and so I decided I was going to do it, and I went on it in 2018, and I went low carb in 2018, and then in like April or so, and I had a doctor's appointment in May, and the doctor told me, he said, "Well, I can see, I had lost like 5 or 6 pounds doing low carb." He said, "You ever thought about keto?" I said, "Well, my daughter did it." And he said, "Well, I do it. My whole family does it. My father, everybody." He said that there's 4 or 5 doctors here. This was at Kaiser Permanente. And he said, "There's 4 or 5 doctors here in the building that do it." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, it's a great diet." And he said, "But it really," he told me, "I really don't like calling it a diet because it's more of a lifestyle."
Right.
And I said, "Well," I came home and I talked to Paige, and that's my wife for those who don't know. And she said, "Let's do it." So we did. And, we got rid of everything carb related in the house immediately. I went through and I cleaned out the cupboards, the whole 9 yards, and gave it all to my daughter because I knew they would eat it. I didn't want to waste it.
Right.
And then, it started working, and I'm like, wow, and I'm like, this really is not that hard. I'm not having issues with doing this because, diets are not the easiest thing in the world to do, but this really, truly, it's not a diet. It's a way of eating, and you don't deprive yourself of good tasting food.
Right.
You still get good tasting food. You just don't have the bread. You don't have the starchy food. You still get carbs, but you don't get starchy carbs. Not all carbs are starches, but all starches are carbs.
Right.
So that's, so I love it.
Well, I see that Tom Garvey, the keto cook, has joined the crowd. And Tom, at the beginning, I was telling Mike that I wanted to give you credit for this idea of these one-on-one chats. If it goes well, it's my idea, but if it messes up, it was your idea. So no, but Tom has the same, gave me the idea of getting one-on-one with people and trying to get them a little better.
Right. And I love that idea. I'm toying with it myself.
So, yeah, I've done everything there is to do, but eventually, all the statement that it's a lifestyle change and not a diet is the only way you can go. Because if you think of it as a diet, diets work until they don't.
Exactly.
You diet and diet and diet, and you go, well, maybe I'll just have a little bit of ice cream. So I've done
Yeah.
Atkins, I did Weight Watchers, and on and on. I do a qualified Mediterranean, which is mostly a lot of fish and a lot of chicken, a lot of vegetarian stuff. But I eat pasta like it's going out of style.
With the exception of pasta, well, not just pasta, but there's a lot of intersect between keto and Mediterranean.
Yeah,
a whole lot. It's amazing, and I know several people that do keto that do the Mediterranean keto.
Mr.
And
Garvey being one of them.
Exactly, and I'm toying with that, doing that because the thing that's the drawback for me is that finding fish right now that's affordable is really hard, and I know that that's a big part of that type of eating.
Right.
And but I occasionally I come across good buys on frozen fish at Aldi, so I I'm not opposed to frozen. I know a lot of people say, "Oh no, that's not fish." I'm like, "Hey, they froze it fresh. I'm good." You know.
Almost every fish in the Midwest, if you're not living by the ocean, is flash frozen.
There you
Every
go.
single one. Even if they say they're selling it fresh, it's been flash frozen.
That's right.
So it's all degrees of, it's not vacuum sealed in the freezer, but it has been frozen. So,
Yes.
there's a lot of, well, I mean, you're probably getting into it costly, but a place like Whole Foods, we have some smaller places here that have seafood, both what purports to be fresh and vacuum sealed pieces. And I've mentioned this before. We belong to a seafood CSA that sends out every month a box about this big full of frozen fish, vacuum sealed. It's called Sitka salmon. A lot of salmon. Last month there was tuna steaks.
I love that.
I've made just little sear on their loins. There's three sides. So sear the loins. I made a couple of tuna poke bowls with them. So a lot of fresh vegetables, and I buy almost exclusively fresh vegetables, fresh meat. I don't buy a lot of frozen stuff. We just don't do it. The exception is my wife likes Stouffer's spinach souffle. So,
well, I get it. That I've had that, so it's really tasty.
Yeah. So that's one of her go-tos is the Stouffer's. And we do eat. We have one dish we make with white beans and mustard greens and sausage, but the mustard greens are frozen. They're just chopped. It has a little more of a bite than spinach does.
Yeah, the thing is about greens, if you think about it, if you buy it canned, it's going to be canned in water with some salt. But you buy it frozen, and all, as opposed to fresh. You're already getting the broke down
Right.
green. Instead of you're not breaking it down, you're getting true. What you see is what you're going to get in the size of the meal. And because I mean, let's face it, spinach and other greens, when you cook it, it's like Mark. It comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb.
Oh, I agree. So I'm doing a community a cooking class for my building here. I was outed as a chef, and they asked me if I would do a cooking class for the building. Okay. So one of the things this is a Valentine's Day dinner that is spinach, black beans, and fish. And basically, you can do it in 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes. But what made me laugh is that you take one of those bags of spinach, and you put it in, and 2 minutes later, it's it's the size of your
Yeah,
fist, and that's
size of
it.
your fist, right? And you start out with this giant bag.
So like you start cooking the fish. You put the beans in a pot, a can of beans, season them, and then you put in the spinach. Flip the flip the fish, and then finish the spinach. You take the spinach out, beans on top, fish on top of that, and it's an easy meal. It's delicious, and I know you're not a bean guy. No beans on keto, right?
Green beans only, really.
Green beans. Well, I mean, I meant
The
meaty
starchy beans,
beans.
no. And people say, "Well, it's protein. It's more starch than it is protein."
Right, and I don't eat a lot of beans, um, mostly the cannellini, and because they go into different dishes. But yeah, the back to the spinach and the greens and the stuff. Another thing that I really like. But I don't know if they're keto. Beets? Are they too? Got too
No,
much
they
sugar in
got
them?
too much sugar in them,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing because I don't like beets.
You don't like them?
No, I have never developed a taste for them. I think I'm the only one in my family growing up that didn't like them. And mama would make us eat them, and it was like, no, and I'd find a way of not eating it.
Well, canned pickled beets definitely have a lot of sugar in them.
Right.
But I roast beets, and for those of you out there on the side out there, I am reading your messages, but you can cook a beet without taking the skin off. You just roast it,
Right.
and then when it comes out, you just use a paper towel, and the skin will come right off. And it's just like any other roasted vegetable to me. It's delicious. So yeah, that's one of the things from the keto standpoint that I would probably have a hard time with is the beans and the which they skew more towards Mediterranean. Their legumes and beans are a big part of what's in Mediterranean.
Well, growing up, we were poor.
Yeah.
We didn't know we were poor, but we were. And my father was full-time Navy. He was 30 years in the Navy, and there wasn't, Mama didn't work for most of the time, so we ended up with a lot of budget meals.
Uh-huh.
And one of the budget meals that we would do was beans and rice. And we used to joke and tell Mama, Mama, and do we have to have beans and rice tonight? Can we just have rice and beans instead? Switch it up. And cornbread. Oh, cornbread.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, getting into kind of the YouTube stuff. So what is your philosophy, your thought process, your goals for how you're approaching your various social medias? Like, is one more important than the other? Does one lead into the other?
They pretty much all lead into each other. I do. I have a Facebook group, which is probably the most neglected of all of them. I have an Instagram and I have a TikTok along with YouTube. And I have more followers on TikTok than I do on anything. I'm over 1,800 followers on there.
Wow.
And but my main goal is to just have fun and to try and it's a two-pronged goal: have fun and help other people understand and live a keto lifestyle if that's the way they want to do it, and answer any questions that they may have if they have them. And I know that sounds real cliche, but that's it. That is really it. Even cliche as it sounds, that is my whole goal to this. I didn't go into this wanting to make money, become YouTube famous or social media famous and make a killing and money. But if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. So it's never been about money. And I've said often, the day I don't have that I stop having fun doing this, that's the day I quit.
Yeah. I don't think any of us get into it with the idea of, well, this is how I'm going to make money.
Right. This
Um,
not part of the retirement plan.
no. Now I guess I'm more, the question is more not how do you think you can make money? It's, do you have a strategy? For instance, I'll tell you what mine is. Mine is I want to push everything towards YouTube. So
yes.
my blog is skewed towards video up front, video links. I put a video link on YouTube. I mean, on Facebook, on Instagram. So I'm trying to drive to YouTube. I'd like my blog to be a little more successful than it is in terms of subscribers, but it's, I mean, that's where I started because my wife basically said, you got to do something. You know, you can't just sit around the house and you need a hobby. You need something. So she said, you're a good writer. You like food. Why don't you just write a food blog? I said, okay, I'll write a food blog. And then my son, who's an older son who's in IT, said, Dad, you ought to get on YouTube because you could really do well on YouTube. I'm thinking, I don't want to be on YouTube. And it took me about 2 or 3 years to show my face. I didn't want to. I think there's a lot of that, the reticence to show your face at the beginning.
Right.
But once you're comfortable, here I am.
Yeah. And my first started YouTube channel to try and get comfortable with it. I actually went into YouTube and looked for things that were that had been marked as Creative Commons, and where I could use that content to kind of get used to how you do YouTube. And I would load it up. Now, since that time, I've taken all of that down. I don't have any more of that up there. Everything that's up there now is mine. And
Right.
my intention was never to have just a channel where I just share somebody else's stuff or put somebody else's stuff out there. That was just for me to kind of get comfortable with YouTube. And once I got that, and that was in I don't know, maybe a month or so, I took all down, and since then it's been nothing but me. And I was real reluctant. That's why I was doing that, about putting my face on camera. But I ended up doing it. And the original name was Ketorific Journey, and I decided to add with Mike when I decided, okay, I'll identify my name and so forth. But I try to gear everything toward YouTube. I'm the same way. I like making it be YouTube being the central focus because, well, I think you can deliver a stronger message in YouTube than you can in the others.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really wanting to do. Because, I mean, on TikTok, what do you got? Is it still limited to 3 minutes? I
don't know. I'm too old for TikTok.
I am too, but I'm still doing it. I have to tell you to get off. I've seen folks older than me, and when I see that, I'm like, yep, we'll do it. I'll keep doing it as long as I see folks older than me. When I know I'm the oldest one on there, that's when I'm going to say, okay, maybe it's time to stop.
No, I kind of drew my son said that I'm at TikTok, and I said, I've done shorts. I've done a few of them. Some have been wildly successful, and others have just been duds. But I'm more comfortable, and to your point about trying to get a point across and trying to talk. I mean, I'm trying to teach novice and beginner and average cooks, home cooks,
right,
easy ways to do stuff. That's my thing. That's how I got into to begin with. So I'm not sure.
It don't have to be hard.
Yeah. So I'm not. I want to do what I want to do. I don't really care. I mean, I don't want to have a 3-hour video because no one's going to watch that. Yeah. But I do want to. I do want to put out content that entertains, teaches a very broad term, informs, maybe
Enlightened.
thank you. Just a little, just if somebody can take away and like, for instance, I told you that, for my interviewing here, community leaders, the mayor was coming in. So the mayor of Milwaukee came in on Saturday. And I taught him, because he doesn't know how to cook, how to make copycat McDonald's breakfast sandwiches.
Hey, there you go.
Sausage egg biscuit and egg and cheese biscuit. And so he has a security guard who's an off-duty Milwaukee police officer who's in the background. So the way you make these sandwiches is you put them in a little ramekin and you just beat it and put it in the microwave for a minute. And, that's how the egg is. And then, the biscuit's the same size and the piece of sausage is the same size. And he said, "Oh, that's really just 1 minute?" I said, "Yes, a minute in the microwave." So, that's the kind of thing that you just feel that's a cool thing. The guy who's just in the audience is the mayor's security, saying, "Well, that was pretty cool. I learned something today." And, when people say that, I have friends that come on or, write me notes, say, "Hey, I tried your blah, blah, blah the other day, and it was really great." I have one friend, I'm probably going to have her on because she's one of the community leaders around here, but she's gone completely vegan, all plant-based, everything.
Oh boy. Now,
So
that's dedication. That's dedication.
She's lost a lot of weight, her and her husband. She's very single-minded. But anytime I have anything that's vegetarian, she immediately makes it. She makes it vegan, and then she calls me and tells me all about it.
I love it. See, there you go. I cook some vegan meals here, and it works. I like doing it. I'm not opposed to vegetarian vegan food. I love it, and I know folks that do keto that are vegan.
Right.
And people think keto is just you're going to eat this exorbitant amount of meat. No, that's not it. That's not it. The thing that you could eat just about as much as you want is the vegetables. You could. I don't think you will get full before you have more vegetables than you could probably eat on keto. You would way before you get to that point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's things like a lot of vegetable stews. Ratatouille is one. I've made some vegetarian stews. And I have an African peanut stew that I've made that is, Tom is right. You need to eat clean.
Yep. Tell Marie I said happy birthday, Tom.
Oh, yes. Birthday girl. Anybody who follows Meg's Mysteries, that's Marie Garvey, Tom's wife, and it's her birthday today. 42. Looks great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Tom, tell Marie she really shouldn't have her age listed on Facebook. I mean, she can if she wants to, if she doesn't care, but men don't care. I don't know that women have the same view of that, but so I know how old she is, but I'm not going to say. I don't know. You will tell her to move her age, or you're going to tell her that we said hello? I'm not sure which one that is. So I had another question for you.
Yeah.
So what YouTubers do you follow or know of that no one else really knows, but you think are really good?
That's a good one. There's a guy, his name is Dennis, and he's it's Black Tie Kitchen.
What is it?
Black Tie Kitchen.
Okay.
And his name is Dennis. He lives in Florida, and he does a somewhat keto lifestyle, and he blends in some Cuban dishes. He's Cuban,
Mhm.
and he blends Cuban dishes into the keto lifestyle, and he, Dennis has probably got about 30K in followers and subscribers, and he doesn't post often. He posts. It's probably been a couple of months since he's posted.
Black tie, what is it?
Black Eye Kitchen.
Black eye.
No, tie
That's
like
right. Okay, yeah.
necktie, black tie, and he's he
Check him out.
gets it becomes a
Um,
theatrical production with him doing it. That's it, Black Tie Kitchen. His videos become a theatrical production.
all right.
He's very creative. I wish I had half his creativity. He scripts them. His whole videos scripted, and he pulls it off. He'll play characters, and it's. I'm telling you, he's got an amazing channel, and what's really good is the stuff that he cooks. You could adapt it to any eating style. I mean, it's great. Uh, that's probably the biggest one because there are some in the keto community that know about him, but not as many as what know about other channels like Serious Keto with Steve. He's one of the more famous ones and all, and he's been a huge influence on me, and because he likes to experiment, I like to experiment.
Yeah.
Uh, and but that yeah, Dennis is that's the one that I get a kick out of watching his stuff because I'm telling you, it's production what he does. And that's probably why he doesn't produce content very often because he's the only one doing it. It's him,
Right.
So watch his videos, some of his videos, and you'll see what I'm talking about. How it is, and it's very involved.
There's one that I watched it's similar. The production is unbelievable. I think it's called Fine Dining or Fine Time Dining.
Yes.
FEIN.
Yeah, I love his channel too. That's another one. I guess I think it's a he. I love that channel too.
It's
agree.
a couple.
Yeah.
It's a couple.
Okay. Yeah, that is another one I do because the way they go about it and do it is great.
They do like the old Speed Racer where you just leave the lips move and the face doesn't move.
Right.
And they impose that on the whoever they're doing. They just did one on I'm trying to think what it was. Old movies, I think, and they just kept interspersing old shots of these movies. And I was thinking, oh, that's The Godfather. Oh, that's The Longest Yard. Oh, that's but they were putting their faces.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'd love that. I did not see that one. I got to go look at it. I haven't.
It was probably out within the last month. They don't do a lot because they're producing. It takes them a while. It takes
some time. Yeah, it's involved. Me, I turn the camera on and I let it roll.
Yeah.
And then I worry about it in editing. And sometimes I just say, I'm putting it up like it is.
I'd agree. What else did I want to ask you? I was trying to think of someone else, and someone was on my mind that I also had that I like. That's not. I can't think of who it was. Oh, I know the guy that I do a lot of. I've done some collaboration with Black Iowa. That guy, he's a young guy.
Yes,
he cracks me up.
He does me too. I like his approach to it. It's he doesn't take it. He's not serious. He doesn't take himself seriously, and I love that.
Not even a little bit.
No, and I love that. That makes it great for me because I try not to take myself too seriously.
I think. Well, you and I don't know. We haven't actually talked. No, that's somebody else. John Shields and I have talked about people that we would rather not have around. We find very just not really interested in the way that they approach things because they're the smartest person in the room at all times. And that quality is annoying. But yeah, people who like to have a little fun, the people who do bloopers, and I'm not just saying because I do it, but people who do bloopers will point out that, hey, I'm not perfect. I stole it from somebody because I didn't, I wouldn't, but I make enough mistakes that if I put all the bloopers in, I'd be 45 minutes worth of video. But it's people who put in bloopers, show their mistakes, and they're showing that, I'm just out here having a little fun.
My biggest bloopers are when I get tongue-tied and I can't talk, or my dogs
starts barking.
They'll bark, or they'll come over there and they'll be annoyed while I'm cooking. They'll come up and they'll nudge me. Come on, throw us a piece of that food. Throw it, and they'll nudge you. And there's a couple of times in earlier videos where I'll look down and say, y'all need to stop, And I know folks are thinking he's lost it. He's talking to himself. And
so I got to ask, are you, do you have to get off and get your face painted black and orange for this evening?
Oh, no, black and red.
Black and red? That's not orange?
Black and red. No, this is red. This is red. It's just the camera's not that great a camera on this. I'm using my wife's laptop. My laptop took a major trip to the work table. About a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I spilled something on it. Took it there. They cleaned it up. It worked again. Well, this past Saturday, I guess it was, I went, turned it on, wouldn't power up. And so I took it to them and they still got it, and I heard from them, which is not a good sign. So, but I'm not going to do the face paint, but I do have some food prepared for it tonight. I actually made your Houston's spinach
dip,
artichoke dip.
Yeah,
I made that. One. I made it, and I also made a pulled pork barbecue dip with I say dip. It's maybe that's not the right word for it. But it's something you could eat with, as a tapa type thing, because I've got cream cheese and barbecue sauce in it and that kind of stuff, and it's more of a creamier type barbecue than it is anything. So,
see, in the kitchen with Karen just showed up. Hey, Karen, how are you?
Hey, Karen.
I'm hoping for a good game. I don't have a dog in the fight, so I don't really care. I like big games to be interesting and exciting, and hopefully back and forth. Like the Ohio State played Georgia, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean that game was great. I felt sorry for the Ohio State kicker.
I did too. But
I mean, they're just kids.
Yeah, so, that's it. And if you notice, when he kicked that ball, it was a few seconds before midnight. And as it got declared missed, it was right at midnight. So the kick became official. And he kicked it in 2022 and missed it in 2023. And I thought, that's cool. If anything cool came out of him missing it other than Georgia winning, it was that.
Well, and I like the quarterback for TCU.
Max Duggan.
Yeah, Duggan. I hope he's not like Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is, I mean, the same kind of personality, same kind of hard charging style when they play.
Yeah.
And Baker, he does have the absolute best commercials. His commercials.
Oh yeah.
For Progressive when he's living in the stadium, those were great. But he, as a football player, he did not measure up to what he was as the Heisman winner. There's George.
Oh, there's my man.
Everybody, check out, if you're on, check out the various people who are here if you're not already following them. Guys, drop your links, and I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I had set up what do you call it, Nightbot, to do it, where you could drop a link, but
Yeah.
it went kaput, and I don't know why. And
See,
I hadn't been
then I
able to
blame
fix
Tom Garvey for this. The part that's if it's not going well, it's Tom Garvey's fault.
And folks, if you check out George's channel, 805 Barbecue Junkie, I'm telling you, the man, that he is a barbecuing god. And he can do it. Flat can do it.
George, just write it.
It won't let him. It probably won't let him.
It won't.
Most likely not. You got to have a wrench to do it.
So I'll have to get with my my tech guy Tom Garvey and try to figure out how to do this. So last we were talking about, I just want to see a good game. I'd like it to go. I don't want it to be a blowout either way. I like the way that Duggan plays. He just hair on fire, pants on fire the entire game. He'll run you over, run through you.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Georgia is just stacked to the gills with talented people on both sides.
Oh, and they lost, what was it, 15, 18 people from the team that they had last year that won the national championship to the NFL draft.
So the defense were drafted.
Right. And you're like, wow. They didn't rebuild, they reloaded.
Right. That's what all those SEC teams do. Alabama, they just keep them coming. They stack them in the on their taxi squads. And the other thing is that who was it? Somebody's coming back for a 6th year because you can get an injury waiver for your 5th year and then the COVID year. So a lot of kids, because of COVID, can play 6 years.
Stetson Bennett, he's a 6-year senior.
There you go.
He's in his 6th year. 6 year of eligibility.
He's old. It's like 25, isn't he?
He is. He's not a kid like the rest of them.
Yeah.
He's a grown man.
Yeah, you play 6 years, you win a national championship, and you're in your mid-20s. You're not going to see a lot of stuff
he's a good old South Georgia farm boy. He grew up in Blackshear, Georgia, which is down in southeast Georgia, going towards the coast. Yeah, towards the coast. Yeah, he's and he was, I want to say he was the football player of the year in Georgia when he was a senior in high school.
10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Last century.
Yes.
No, I'm just hoping for a good game because the semifinal games were great.
They were. And I got to give TCU credit that they have played above and beyond what everybody, and I mean everybody, gave them credit for being able to do. And at this point, I've heard people say, well, they're there by fluke. No, at this point in the season, it ain't no fluke.
No, they missed being undefeated by that much.
Exactly.
Big 12 championship.
Exactly.
If they call a couple plays a little differently, then they win.
Yeah, they would have beat K-State if it hadn't been for just a few things here and there. And that's all.
Well, that says, conference games with a lot on the line. They know each other so well. I mean, that's in every conference. That's why conference championships are always a crapshoot. You always hope
they are
just make through it.
They are. And Ohio State and they were, because they weren't in their championship.
No.
They had not played since before Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah, they played well. They were and they lost several of their really good players. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh yeah, he got hurt.
That guy's a stud.
Now their quarterback, I got to tell you, you can't ask for more out of a quarterback than what he gave you that night.
Stroud.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud. Yeah.
He played great. I'm telling you, and if UGA had lost, he was going to be that MVP of that game. Period. It wasn't no doubt about it. It was going to be the MVP.
Well, the champs knew how to play, how to come back.
That's the thing. Georgia, when they fall behind now, usually they got like when they played uh, in the SEC championship, they played Alabama last year. They fell behind and they couldn't play catch up. They didn't play catch up. They didn't play their kind of ball game. And since that time, and they lost as a result. Well, they learned from that. And the other night, when they played Ohio State, they did not play their kind of ball game, but they were able to still get the win.
Yeah,
because they just knew how to win, how to take the game and win it. Even though we don't have our best game tonight, we can still take it and win it. And that's a sign of a team that's really good. Alabama's got that ability.
Yeah, they lost a couple games by that much.
Oh yeah, and but do you follow the Brewers since you're in Milwaukee?
Somewhat. I'm a DC boy, so DC is my teams. But yeah, the Brewers, the stadium's not too far away, and I do go to games. So I follow them because they're here, not because that's my team.
I understand. It gives you a chance to see baseball.
Yeah.
And y'all in a trade, Milwaukee picked up a very good catcher.
Contreras?
Yes. He has got a huge upside.
Yeah.
That young man can hit. And he can become a better defensive catcher. He's not great defensively, but he can become a better one. And his brother, he may have been traded from the Cubs. That his brother is the catcher.
Wilson?
For the Cubs. Yes.
Yeah, he was traded. I want to say to a West Coast team.
I think you're right. I think to San Francisco, maybe. Or was it San Diego? I forget. But he can play. He can play. But they had to do something. Braves have got so much hitting in the other parts of the lineup. They had to have somebody that was more defensively minded behind the plate, because they've also got the offensive catcher in Darno.
Yeah.
So,
he was nothing in New York, and now he's a stud in Atlanta.
That's true. But he was hurt a lot in New York too. So I don't know if that had a lot to do with it.
Who's the other guy? There was what's his name? The third baseman for the Dodgers, Turner.
Yes, Justin Turner.
He was nothing in New York, and it became an all-star with the Dodgers.
The year the Dodgers beat the Braves in the National League Championship game in the COVID season, the shortened COVID season, and one of the plays that they had in that game, Justin Turner, he's at bat, and there's a ball down low, and it's not hit him, and he sticks his foot out. They needed a base runner because they were behind. He sticks his foot out over the plate and lets the ball hit his foot. And I'm like, no, Hump, you got to call this. You can't, because you can't deliberately let a ball hit you.
Right.
You got to make an effort to get out of the way. And he did not only not make an effort to get out of the way, he made an effort to get in the way. So that ended up being the deciding things on it. They got base runners, and they're able to take the Braves down in 7 games as a result.
Since my team stinks, to the Nationals, I hate the Mets, so I'm going to have to root for.
I do.
And I don't like Philly either.
I don't either.
So by default, I'm going to have to root for the Braves.
There you go. We'll take you. We'll take you right on beside us here. Come on in.
The Mets. The Yankees spend, and they haven't been in a World Series in 15 years. Same with the Mets. The Mets are paying a larger tax penalty, than 8 or 10 teams' entire payroll.
Yes. What is it? I heard they got like $500 million in salary.
Yeah, close to it. It's well over 400 million.
Wow.
They've got two or three pitchers that are, in the mid to high 30s. Verlander and Scherzer are all both. Well, I think they're close to 40 each. They just overpaid for them.
Scherzer, he wore out by the end of the season. He was done.
He's done that. He's done that throughout his career. So he did that with the Nationals.
Did it with Detroit.
When he gets to the end of the season, he's just. I mean, because he goes full bore the entire season.
That's it. He doesn't know but one speed, and that's boom, haul out.
So, and as you get close to 40 as a baseball player, you just can't do what you did when you were 30.
No.
And
he's closer to 40 than anything. Yeah.
So now who do the Braves have as that they've had some pitchers that have gone. The kid with the last that starts with an F, who was an all-star.
Max Fried?
No, the other one. Folsom. He was an all-star, and then he just kind of fell off the cliff.
Foltynewicz.
Yes, Foltynewicz, yeah.
Yes, he did. And I think it got in his head. And it was, he had an arm. He could throw.
Oh, yeah.
But when you got the talent and you still can't get it done, it's in your head. He overthought it out there, and when he would shake off the curveball because he wanted to throw the fastball, and I'm like, dude, go with what they're telling you to do, and more times than not they would because he thought he knew better and he didn't. But I just know this, I'm so glad that yesterday my Falcons took a W from the Tampa Bay Brady's.
Tampa Bay Brady's. Well, hopefully the Falcons will get back on track sometime.
They will.
The NFL is definitely, you can go worst to first in any year.
Oh yeah, and see, the last two seasons have been salary cap poor. Next year, I think there's only two teams with more money under the cap to spend than the Falcons. The Falcons are going to be in really good shape next year because a lot of money comes off of it that they owe to Julio Jones and Matt Ryan and so forth. So, but you talking about we went to the Braves game this year, and they were playing the Mets, and there, and we had like 10 people around us that were all Mets fans. And they're all in their Mets garb, and we're wearing our Brave stuff. They're giving us fits. And I said, how hard a Mets fan are y'all? Oh, the Mets, we live and breathe Mets. We live and breathe. I love them. I know all about the Mets. I said, really now? Okay, let's see just how much you know. Because if a real fan would know the answer to this, how did the Mets come up with the colors of their team? The two team colors. Go for it.
I know.
Go for it.
It's the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants combination.
That's it. Dodger blue and Giants orange. They're like,
they didn't know.
Not a clue. Not a clue. I said, hey, wait, you're a Mets fan. Come on.
See, that goes right to what we were talking about at the beginning, having all this useless or insignificant information in your head.
That's it.
Okay, yeah, I know that. Yeah. Why do I know that? I don't know. I just know it.
Yeah. And I said, okay, all right, I'll give you that one. Now, when was the last time the Mets won the World Series? Oh, they beat the Yankees back in the 90s. No, they didn't. They lost to the Yankees. So try again. When did they win their last World Series? The Amazing Mets? No, it was before that. So you got somewhere in the middle. You got the answer, and go for it. What's the date?
73.
86.
Oh, you're right. And I should know that because I was in New York for a Redskins-Giants game, a Monday night game. And the Redskins lost 17-0. Again, more insignificant information. But this was during the 7th game of the World Series. So everyone in the stadium, in Giants Stadium, has either a Watchman or a transistor radio or whatever we had in the 80s. And so there'd be nothing going on in the football game, and there'd just be this big cheers coming up from the stands.
Mm-hmm.
That's because everyone's watching the World Series game and not really paying attention to the football game. So yeah, I should have known that because I was tangentially involved, just because I was in New York and people were watching it, listening to it in the middle of a football game.
And they said, "Oh yeah, 86. That was when Mookie hit the ball between the legs of the first baseman." And I said, "Buckner." And they said, "Yeah, that's him." And they won the game on that, and that won the World Series. I said, "No,
that was game 6.
That was game 6. They did not win the World Series. They still had another game to play." And they're like, "Huh?" They did not bother me the rest of the game. They left me alone. And I'm like, my wife said, "I thought you were going to get us killed by these fans." I said, "No. Once they realize you know more about baseball than they do, they shut the hell up." They shut the hell.
So that's what I knew you were. I knew you were a big sports guy just from some of the stuff that we've talked about over time. So one of the things I want to ask you is, your last 2 videos that I've watched were chocolate. It was a chocolate peanut butter something or other, and
a peanut cluster, yeah,
right?
Chocolate peanut cluster, yeah.
So where does chocolate fit into keto?
If it's just pure chocolate and there's no sugar added, you're good.
Okay, so it's like baker's chocolate?
Right. You can use baker's chocolate, but I like to use the chocolate chips to make it, because it melts a whole lot better than the baker's chocolate. And
so this is unsweetened baking
chocolate. It actually has erythritol in it, and some stevia root, or stevia leaf rather, and but it doesn't have any sugar. There's no sugar in it whatsoever. It's that, but you could add your own sweetener to it. I didn't add any sweetener to it, and it was great. Matter of fact, before I came on, my wife had some, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is so good! This is so good!" But now that pie I made, that was not keto. It was low carb.
Gotcha.
And there are those that'll tell you the candy that I made, the clusters that I made, that's not keto, it's low carb. I can agree with that to an extent, but there's sometimes that you just really want something, and there's a special occasion or something like that, and like New Year's, that was New Year's Day, and we wanted a dessert for New Year's Day, so I made one. And it was one that we could eat. And my mother-in-law, who is not keto, she had a piece, and she's like, "This may be the best pie I've ever had."
So anybody who's out in the audience, anybody got any questions for us? Because we're probably going to get ready to wrap up in the next 5 minutes or so. I know we've been. I'm sure everybody has a lot of baseball or University of Georgia football questions that they want to ask us as we prognosticate.
Now, you talk about you don't like Philly. I don't like Philly either, and you got an added reason because you lost Bryce Harper to the Phillies.
Now Trey Turner's on there too.
Yeah.
But they are among the most obnoxious fans in the world. I went to I have a buddy that lives in Philly. He's lifelong Eagles, Phillies, Sixers fan, and we went to a playoff game. I think it was early, maybe 2000. It was Buddy Ryan's last year. It was a game. It was in January. It's Philadelphia. It's semi-snowing, and luckily, my ski jacket was green, so I kind of blended in. And of course, there's idiot Redskin fans. Every time the Redskins would score, they'd stand up, and then they just get pelted with snowballs. The whole, you're just inviting Philadelphia people who will boo anything to go after you. And then a couple drinks, and then they were just, they were off to the races. And anytime the Redskins would score, I'd go, I kind of a golf
little quiet celebration,
and stay, because I kept my head down the whole time. And it ended up being Buddy Ryan's last game. They fired him after that because they lost on their home field in a playoff game to the Redskins, who they'd beaten. That was the body bag year.
Oh yeah,
when they went into DC and a bunch of guys ended up getting carted off the field, so they called it the body bag game. And then they hired Rich Kotite, which set them back another 5 years.
Oh, that set like way back. That set them way back. But I have a really good friend that he and I grew up together, and he and I studied a lot of martial arts together and things like that. And now I'm not a badass, but folks don't mess with me. He is a true number one badass, and he went to the Falcon game in Philly, and he wore Falcons garb. And somebody yanked his hat off that he had. He went and got his hat back. And whooped like 5 of them, and the rest of the game they left him alone. And
it's just, I hate Philly. I did go to a game there, and my son and I went 2 summers ago. We went to Yankee Stadium and then took the train down to Philly. And the people that worked in the stadium couldn't have been nicer. We were wearing our national stuff. They're very pleasant. And the people kind of left us alone. And that's the only time I've been to Philly where the people were actually not completely obnoxious. But every other time it's just been, I really didn't want to be there because it was just so bad.
All stadiums have holding cells for people who get out of hand. They all do, all of them. Philly they don't have a holding cell. They have a holding area, a whole area, and they have a courtroom set up in the stadium, in the basement of the stadium, in the bowels of the stadium. They hold court. They get so many people down there.
Oh, Melda's leaving. Melda, good. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you.
Take care, Melda.
Catch you on the next video we're doing. All right. Well, we've been yapping for an hour. This has been
fun.
Great.
I love it.
This is exactly what I want to do. Is just talk to somebody, just get to know them a little better, talk a little YouTube, and then talk a little everything else using our insignificant knowledge that we've.
There you go. Now you will never call it useless knowledge ever again.
No, it's insignificant.
Yes.
Can't wait for my wife to get home so I can tell her that. So I don't have useless knowledge. I just have insignificant knowledge.
Exactly. There's a big difference. There's a big difference.
Absolutely.
Well, yes. See, the reason why is because I'll go on like radio stations to hold trivia contests and all, and I'll call in with the right answer. And I've won all kind of stuff. Tickets to plays, tickets to ball games. I have won so much stuff for using trivia. It is unbelievable.
Well, you'd probably be a good Trivial Pursuit, or my son does that. He used to do it when he was in college. He did trivia nights in bars.
I used to go to them until before COVID. I was a regular doing it, and we had you do it as teams, and there was the team that we had. They were we generally won. It wasn't just me. There were 5 of us, and each of us had an area of knowledge that was really vast. Like one was really vast literary stuff. One was really good with music, because I stink with music. I'm terrible. I don't know it. And I know some literary stuff, but she had me beat big time. But mine, I got other areas that I was good in. We all had our areas, and we just combined our knowledge and worked out for the best, because we would win stuff and we'd go to finals. They'd have finals, and we've never won the finals. There would be other teams that would beat us, but
They had more insignificant knowledge than you did.
They did. They did. It just goes to show you, no matter how smart you are, there's always somebody smarter.
No, I absolutely agree with that. All right, my brother. I'm gonna hang up and go make my wife's dinner.
I'm gonna. Well, no, we're gonna probably eat during the game, so I'm gonna go and grab a snack. So there. Hey, there we go. Oh,
Hey,
we
Ginger.
got Ginger.
I'm making. I'm using one of Tom Garvey's little tricks. I did his spinach, spaghetti squash frozen.
Mm-hmm.
So I took them out. I'm having that with some fish and a salad. That's our dinner tonight.
He said, the video he did recently where he was showing how not to cut the spaghetti squash.
Yeah.
I said, so is it okay if I use my hacksaw?
So Ginger's going to be my guest in a couple of weeks. So next week, if anybody's still there, the dude is coming on. And then Ginger.
Next week's the dude. You got the dude next week.
Dude's next week.
Excellent. And, I look forward to that.
He was going to do he was going to do today when I first started talking about this months ago. He said, "Oh, my son is he's got something with his son. I can't remember what it was that he had to be with him." So I said, "Okay." So Mike will do it. And then I got Ginger, and then who else is John Shields is coming on, and I got a couple of. What's interesting there, what you said something really early. It says, you're going to do it till you don't like it. There's a couple people that have, as I was trying to get, cajole people to do this. Brian, the bearded Italian, said he's dropping out of YouTube. He's going to stop it because he's got so much going on. He's stepping back. He's stepping back.
Well. Okay, I get that, because you can get burnt out doing some things, because you try to stay on your schedule, and right. Stuff happens. Wow, so you got two Georgians on here.
That's
you
right.
Got Ginger and me.
Ginger, are you painting your face black and red tonight?
Now she's up. I'm around it. She's up in North Georgia. She's in the northwestern part of the state.
Or maybe you can dye your hair red on one side and black on the other.
There you go.
Now, black and red food. What would that be? Maybe you can give out licorice.
Yeah.
Black and red licorice.
There you go.
All right.
But but see, the Falcons' colors are the same colors. They're black and red also.
And I know the black. I guess I do know the black and red.
Yeah,
that would be. I wouldn't. If you'd asked me what the colors were, I wouldn't. I'd be hard pressed.
No red black for her. Oh Lordy!
Are you not watching the game? Or are you just not a fan? Or
are you one of the Pachyderm fans?
No.
No.
Washington.
Black beans and tomatoes. There you go.
Yeah. She's a genius. No, I'm a Washington football team guy.
No, I mean Ginger are you a Pachyderm fan? Alabama, their mascot's a elephant. That's one thing I do for when you have all these. I was around a bunch of Alabama fans at work when I worked. And they would every time you'd hear it was Roll Tide this, Roll Tide that, and all that. And I said, "You a real big fan, huh?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Just what kind of elephant is that elephant y'all got for the mascot?" And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Is that African elephant or an Asian elephant?" And they're like, "I don't know."
Is there a difference?
So
Alabama's another one that their birthright is to always win and be in the championship games.
Oh yeah. They're gonna start when Saban retires. They're gonna try and get Kirby Smart. You watch. Mark my words. They're gonna try and get him.
Yeah. Did he go to school there?
No, he went to Georgia. He's a Georgia grad.
But he coached under Saban.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's that's a big thing with Bama fans. You got to be part of the family.
Right.
And if either you played there or you coached under somebody under the Bear or now Saban, it's you got to have a connection. And if you,
Oh, Georgia's
she's
Ginger
from
says she's a
Gainesville.
Florida Gator.
Oh Lord, she's a swamp girl living in the high country now. How did you go from swamps of Gainesville to down here to up in North Georgia? One day you're going to have to enlighten me on that one.
Well, she's going to answer that in 2 weeks.
Hey, all right. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
Right.
Don't say it now, Ginger. Don't say it now. Trump Master.
Trumpet Master, how's it going? It's going. My son lives in Florida. He's in St. Pete.
My wife and I are talking about going to Florida for spring training this year. Try and see some spring training games.
When we went, we stayed in Orlando as a kind of and the Braves play there.
Right. Well, they did. They play in Northport now, down at below Tampa.
Oh, well, it was a central point that you could get to Tampa in an hour. You get to the East Coast in an hour, and there was the Mets played at I think it was the Mets. Who was there? There's two teams that played at the ESPN Center there in Orlando.
No, only the Braves did. But in Orlando, you had in Kissimmee, the Astros are there.
Oh, right. Okay. And then the Astros are now with the Nationals down in West Palm.
Yes. And the Nationals were over at Space Coast Stadium over in Vieira. Vieira, I think that's the way you pronounce it, which is over by, it's near, Lordy, what's the name of it? Cape Canaveral and so forth over that way.
Well, Lakeland is halfway between Tampa and Orlando, and that's where the Tigers are. And then the Yankees are in Tampa. Orioles are the Pirates are in Bradenton. The Orioles are in Sarasota.
Phillies are in Clearwater.
Yeah.
Oh, Red Sox are in Fort Myers.
Right. And the Twins.
Yep. The Twins are there too. Yep.
So
and the Blue Jays are in Dunedin.
Right. So there's plenty to do there.
Oh yeah, exactly. And we're gonna try and try if we can get tickets. They're so hard to get tickets for some of the games, especially when it's like the Red Sox or the Yankees. They're really difficult to get tickets for. They sell quick. But because if we go down and stay in Northport, we can go north to Tampa and St. Pete area and Bradenton and so forth, and then we can go down to Fort Myers and so forth down south to see other teams down that way. Be central. But we stayed in Orlando too.
Oh, that's a couple of years ago, I love going to spring training. We were in Naples, good friends that live in Naples. So I said, let's just look up to Fort Myers and we'll watch the Red Sox are playing. I think they were playing the Twins. So I said, okay. And I looked online. I said, okay, they're at Century Athletic Complex. All right. So I put it in the GPS and we're driving along, get into Fort Myers, and there's nobody there. There's nobody in town. There's no cars. I said, man, and we stopped and said, excuse me, sir, where's the stadium? I said, we're looking for the baseball game. I said, oh, they're not playing in this stadium. They're playing at the other one in Fort Myers about 5 miles down the road. So after that, my buddies would never let me get directions.
Now I'm all right. When the Astros were in Kissimmee, I've had a lot of stadium hot dogs, a lot of them. That hot dog that I got there is the best stadium hot dog I've ever had anywhere.
Wow.
And that says a lot because even if I'm on keto, a stadium hot dog, you cannot beat it.
The best one I ever had is at Wrigley. the footlongs that they sell up in the bleachers.
I've had one of those, and it was really good, but this beat it. This beat that hot dog. I was amazed.
I think that the thing about the Wrigley one is that they put pickles and they put tomatoes and they put. I mean, it literally is a foot long.
It is. They call it, what they call it, Chicago dog.
Yeah. It's it cracks me up. Well, one day we'll have to talk about stadium food because there are some good ones.
Yes.
Here in Milwaukee, they have down below, but then I usually get seats in the club seats, and that's they have a barbecue pulled pork brisket type of restaurant there on the club level, and then they have a bar that's set aside, so you're not down with the masses. And that I love those tickets. You're up on the on the upper level, not the car level, but the above the lower deck. And we used to sit right on the rail so you can see everything. And then the the inside part is air conditioned. And then we go eat the good food, sit at the good bar, and then go back to our seats. So well, we could go on with all day.
Oh yeah,
Miller High Life Kitchen, how's it going? Lots to check out. So we've been yapping for an hour and 15. Next week, the dude is going to be joining me, and Mike and Tom on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Central, 6 Eastern, every week. Check them out. And in 2 weeks, Not for Nothing Homestead and Ginger will be my guest, where I don't know that we're going to be talking about baseball hot dogs, but we'll be talking about how she went from being a Georgia Gator to, a Florida Gator to where she is in Georgia.
Went from being a Flatlander to a Northern girl, to a mountain girl.
Georgia.
We call them folks in Florida, they Flatlanders.
Flatlanders. This has been great. I appreciate you taking the time. Thanks to everybody who hung out with us. We'll catch you around, and join us next week, 4 p.m. Central, for me and the dude chatting it up.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Have a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun.
Say hi to your buddy and at the casino with his wife.
Yeah, I will.
Right. Good night, everybody.
Take care.